Okay, thank you very much for bearing with me. You know, for technology, there's a Murphy's Law, which says that if something can go wrong, it will. So you see, I got something went wrong. So I'm sorry for that. Now, the last sentence I wanted to talk about here, two more. So first, what's a view graph? A view graph is a self-contained one-page chart representing one specific technology innovation-related conceptual framework or one practical application-related methodology in the real-world global enterprise setting. Each chart was constructed by combining meaningful images reflecting ideas, boxes representing facts, and numerous positional characters depicting some structure, order, or hierarchy. So that's how my view graphs were constructed, and I'm going to present. But I would like to very humbly present to you that my view graphs represent only the baseline knowledge, what I have learned. But collectively here, among the audience, there's so many highly knowledgeable people, and I'm sure you know much more. And you can certainly enrich my view graphs by adding your knowledge base to make it useful for you. So with that statement, now I would like to move to my actual presentation. This is a document which was circulated to all of you. And this document has got 6 parts. As I've said, part 1, part 2, and part 3, I'm going to present first. And then I'll take 5 minutes break. And after that, part 4, part 5, and part 6, I'm going to present. This is the first one, part 1. On this main topic, industrial technology innovation management for sustainable economic development. My part 1 is technology innovation-led new world order. So this is what I'm going to talk about now. And the theme is a brief portrayal of how industrial technology innovations are shaping the new world order. Okay, this is my view graph number 1. The title says, Fundamentals of Technology Innovation World Order. But first of all, I would like you to please read these 2 top sentences very carefully, and I'm going to read with you. Technologies are human-made helpmates. First one, technologies are human-made helpmates. Created means that enhance physical and mental power of people. Now with this sentence, I am making sure that we, myself included, and everyone recognize that technology is human-made and is our helpmate, which enables us to be more powerful or enhances our physical and mental power. So it's useful for all of us, individually, personally. Next point is, technological innovation facilitates. Facilitates what? Our collective endeavors to become more convenient and productive. This is the point that I would like to emphasize. Collective endeavors. What is a collective endeavor? The organizations in which we work, either producing good or providing services. Goods production are generally in the private sector, but services in the public sector, we have got organizations which are providing public services, but in the private sector also, we got organizations which provide services. So technological innovation facilitates our organizations to become more, to do our work more conveniently and productively. So these are the basic theme which is going to permeate through everything that I'm going to talk about today. So please keep that in mind. Next, on this page, I have 4 bullets. First one is here, unstoppable innovation. In order to say that, I just want to draw your attention that as people are creative and people like to compete, technological innovation is in perpetual motion. So technological innovation, I say here, is unstoppable. Please note that I'm not going to read every sentence here because You can read it later on. The important ones I'm going to mention only to highlight the bullet that I presented here. The next bullet I have here is accelerated innovation. Now, what I'm saying that technological innovations in the old days appeared at slower pace as incremental or evolutionary type that followed social change. In contrast, in the present days here, technological innovations in the present days are appearing in much faster pace, breakthrough or revolutionary type that are leading social change. So this is the process of accelerated technology innovation. Earlier days, it was following social change, but in the present days, it is leading our social change. Next point I want to talk about is the globalization issue. Globalization is in human DNA. Accelerated technological innovations are now the impetus for intensification of globalization. And again, I'm going to point out one thing, that as human nature is to show what they make and also to get what others make, global trade volume is rising. So that's the main reason why globalization is happening. Good things, but everything is not necessarily so good, and that we have to keep in mind. Technological advancements enable people to satisfy human needs better than before. Technological advancements also enable people to achieve freedom from hunger and misery. Moreover, technological advancements enable people to get higher returns on investment from myriad economic activities of their enterprises. However, often due to irresponsible decisions for acquiring wealth very quickly by misuse or overuse of some technological innovations, we have made sustainability of ecosystem a critical concern. So this is the seed I'm putting for why I'm going to talk about sustainable development. Please remember that. Now, next view graph is a very interesting one. And here I would like all of us to compare. This is the box telephone we used to have in our offices, in our home, until very recently. Less than 10 years ago, this is the standard telephone we have, which was used for communication between two people. Both of them needed this box, and these two boxes at two places were connected by two pieces of wire. But now, we all use a cell phone. I'm sure all of you have this. And then I'm just trying to say that let us try to understand how this telephone has changed from here to here, and what is the nature of this telephone. I'm saying it's mesmerizing nature of technology innovation trend by trying to show some images here, which are stunning manifestation of the smartphone. Here, many of these images that you're familiar with. Is it the smartphone, is a television, is a record player, is a video player, is a navigator, is a camera, is a watch, a direct compass, music player, all of these readers, and even it's a computer where we can send email and we can get a social system. Much, much more. These incredible technological innovations is of mesmerizing nature. But I would like to qualify that by three words here. Unprecedented, obvious, we have talked about this. We have never seen something like that before. Mind-boggling, mesmerizing, and unpredictable. Now, I would like to explain the word unpredictable by requesting all of us to think. When we were using this old telephone here, the box telephone, 10 years ago, could anyone imagine at that time that within 10 years, we're going to have a smartphone like this one? Probably not. And now I'm going to ask myself and all of us who are listening, participating in this webinar, can you imagine what this cell phone is going to do in 5 years from now? I think the answer is no. That's why I said unpredictable. And industrial technology innovation management, that is the scope of this discourse, of something which is unprecedented, mind-boggling, and unpredictable. Having said that, I want to give one more example of how things are changing. Remember again, this is this simple telephone which has become the smartphone, but there was something in between which I'm going to talk to you a little later. But light bulbs, from incandescent bulb to we have LED bulbs now. Automobiles, from purely mechanical automobile to now a new electric, not only electric, electronic, but it's almost a self-driving car. Now, having said that, I would request you to think that if I take every product and try to break it down its constituents in terms of material content and technology content, what do I find in the older products versus the newer products? In earlier days, in the older products here, nature-based material capital share was much more than this intellect-based technology capital share in earlier days. In the new days, present time, here, intellect-based technology capital share is much more than the material-based technology capital share. So this is something very interesting for us to remember, that products, modern world products, have greater technology over material content. Key point, please remember this. Next, having talked about a product, now I would like to talk about industry, industrial revolution. You are familiar with this. I think we have Industrial Revolution 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, and now 4.0. This is the time period when Industrial Revolution 1.0 took place, 1760 to 1840. The type of mechanized small batch production with water and steam-powered locomotive energy was used during this Industrial Revolution 1. And the general type of enterprise at that time was light engineering, farming, food sector dominant economy. Many of our developing countries are still in here where we have this. Some have, of course, progressed. But let's look at Industry 2.0, 1850 to 1945, mass production with electric motors and fossil fuel powered internal combustion engine. And the type of industries, structures, process and construction sector dominant economy. Industrial Revolution 3.0, from 50 to 2000, automated production with electronics, computers, and ICT systems with energy from media solutions. What kind of economy we have? Mechanical, machine tools, utility of precision work sectors dominant economy. And now, starting from 2000, we see Industry Revolution 4.0, and here, remote production with smart connected devices using mobile intelligence and digital data network. Type of enterprises, cyber-linked system and knowledge sector dominant economy. Please note that in this earlier phase, Industry 1.0 and 2.0 dependent on material capital for moderate growth. This later part, Industry 3.0 and 4.0, we have relied more on greater intellectual capital for higher growth. Couple of things. Material capital intensity here, moderate growth. Technology capital intensity here, higher growth. So I make this general remark here. Greater intellectual capital intensive industry restructuring is the foundation for higher growth economy, because that's what we want to achieve. So we have to move in that direction. Now, we talked about product, we talked about industry. Now I would like us to focus on the work that we do, all of us, myself, and all of us who are participating in this webinar. Please think about the work that we do. And that's what I'm trying to show here in this Venn diagram, the world of work. If I break it down into workplace, work media, and work content, we find interesting things. Workplace, we work nowadays anywhere, anywhere, any place, anytime. How do we work? What the media that we use for our work? Here, on this side, right-hand side. From mainframe computer to all the way handheld mobile computers, even cell phones we use nowadays to do our work. But interestingly, our computations are done in the cloud. We don't do the computations in our phones, in our computers. They're all done because that can store a lot of big data and we can do a lot of calculations here. Using Wi-Fi, we connect it to get what we nowadays call artificial mobile intelligence. So what is the work content? Work content here is a combination of human intelligence and artificial intelligence. So I call that intellect intensive. And here we work. World Wide Web linked professionals utilize artificial intelligence through mobile intelligence technologies. Having said that, I would like to summarize here what I have in this top sentence so that we can put everything together as far as the work is concerned. Modern industrial enterprise professionals can be at any place, assemble a team of talented experts on the internet, put their intellectual property in a secure cyber cloud, develop product innovation processes through cloud computing and data, utilize a robotized factory with 3D printers to make all kinds of very complex products and market those via the World Wide Web. So this is our work environment nowadays, and this is how we do the work. So now, let me recapitulate three things. Our products are becoming more technology intensive. Our industries are becoming more technology intensive. Our personal work is becoming more technology intensive. If that is so, then can we say that we are not going to manage technology? That will not be very good. We have to manage technology because we're involved in our personal work, in our enterprise work, in our industrial work with technology to be better than before. Then how better? Those are the things that I'm going to discuss slowly. Now, this is getting into the enterprise level now. Technological innovation is affecting enterprise operation, whether you work in a goods producing enterprise or a service providing enterprise. Technological innovations are shaping here the external enterprise playing field. What is the external enterprise playing field? Here, 4 things I've tried. Dizzy pace of innovation. This is the external world for our enterprise. Messy kind of connectivity because everything is getting linked with everything else. Fuzzy state of the future. As I said, it's even unpredictable. We do not know what are the things that is coming in the future. And of course, ones which we're going to talk a little bit more as we move on, shaky scope of alliance. The merger and alliance of enterprises is now happening at a hectic pace. Now that is about the enterprise playing field. So we hear innovation is paramount for acquiring better and newer products and services-based global competitive advantage. Now let's come down to the ballgame. Technological innovations are influencing the internal enterprise ballgame. This is within the ballgame. our enterprise. What we need in our enterprise nowadays is we have to use innovation as a prerequisite so that we can be lean, agile, mean, and green, and also for continuous productivity gain. Now, all of this I said from the technology point of view. Let us get out of the technology world and talk in the business point of view. Universal business challenges for international market competition are still here, as I've tried to note down, creating values, delighting customers, adapting to market flux, and sustaining growth. And I'm going to pose this question, can we do any of these without getting into new technologies or without technology innovation? I think the answer is no. So these are enough justification, I think, for us to focus on technological innovation management. Now I'm giving some samples here to reconfirm what we already know. Technological innovations is promoting global business. How? These are the four or five things that I have listed here. Communication technologies, improved communication technologies is enabling business globalization. Cloud storage and computing technologies, they're also enabling. We talked about that. Collaboration technologies, enabling us, our enterprises to become global. And the smart device technologies, we're all very familiar with nowadays. But I would like us to note this particular one. Because sometimes we do not pay enough attention to this. What is this? This is the transaction technology. Unless the transaction technology improved so much as it is nowadays, we could not have global business. Nowadays, I think in Bangladesh, you can see what people are doing with smartphones. Business is going on all over the world, including the world. If you have, and that's the point that I want to make here, you can do global business, purchase and sales of your product or buy other product. If you have a payment system where credit and account, where debit and credit can be done internationally. We could buy anything from anywhere in the world. We could sell anything that we produce in any village of Bangladesh if we have an international debit credit system. This is very important for us to remember. Now, I would also like to give a little bit of a glimpse of how the new technologies are shaping. Throughout the world, by robust R&D efforts, all technological systems are continuously advanced to become more powerful, much smaller in physical dimensions with falling prices, and we call those as smart technologies, and that's ubiquitous nowadays, everywhere. Smart technologies. We do not use. Some of you who are mechanical engineers, I would like to bring to your attention that we do not use anymore the machinery to make a part. We can produce a part nowadays, very complicated part, by using 3D printing. So everything has changed so much. And these are smart technologies which are becoming ubiquitous for us. One more thing I want to bring to your attention here, that even myself, being a mechanical engineer, until very recently, I used to know that matter has got 3 states: solid, liquid, and gas. But if you hit solid, it becomes liquid. If you hit liquid, it becomes gas, and reverse. But if you hit gas further, it becomes plasma, ionized. And if we did not know this, we could not have produced this smartphone or this flat screen television. All of these depend on these. Few more things that I want to talk about or mention to you is nanotechnology, biotechnology. But here we see a convergence of information technology, synthetic biology, and nanotechnology, that is the area where new technologies are appearing in this world. And some examples here. Creative industry, knowledge industry, mobile intelligence technology, 3D printing, robotics, artificial intelligence, digital industry, Internet of all things, software, advanced algorithm, many more. This is just to make sure that we remember some of these. Next, this is the last slide for my first part, where I want to go back to the word sustainability, why we should be talking about sustainability, and this is the rationale. Remember again, technology is human-made helpmates. I'm going to repeat that so that we remember that it is human-made. And if we want to, if we try, we can also make. We do not have to import everything from outside the world. Technologies are human-made helpmates. The practical means that enhance both physical and mental power of the people. Yet, it is important to remember that while technological innovations give enormous impetus for our well-being, it could also lead to a total destruction of our human world. However, this is the caveat. However, by itself, any technology is neither good nor evil. It's just a means. It's a means for people to utilize wisely for benefit while avoiding all of negative consequences. So it is our moral responsibility to ensure the sustainability of human ecosystem be treated as mandatory consideration in enterprise and national technology deployment actions for evading darker impacts. So I show here sustainable development. What does it mean? Social progress, economic growth, and environmental soundness. We need all three simultaneously. But we find a lot of problems here. Deforestation, resources overexploitation, environment degradation, global warming, climate change. So our resolution is, it is important to achieve a win-win endgame. What is a win-win endgame? It's win for people, it's win for planet Earth. Environmentally sound, social progress, and economic growth. We have to remember that. With that, I have completed part one. And I have taken about 20 minutes for that. No. Yes, we had a little bit of a break in the middle, so I'm sorry, but I lost some time there. So this is part two. Part two is industries, globalization for wealth creation. Let's compare developing economies who are rich and have prosperity with developing economies, poor and poverty. And this is the gap we have, and we'd like to bridge this gap. How do you bridge this gap? Or what are the critical issues? The burning issue for us to remember is arresting and rapidly reducing the apparently ever widening of income inequality in our current, the rich get richer and the poor get poorer world. Think about it. The rich get richer and the poor get poorer world. This is not only between developed and developing countries. We see that developed countries are getting more rich, developing countries are getting poor. But within every country, both developed and developing, you find rich societies are getting richer, poor societies are getting poorer. So this is a critical issue. We have to arrest this gap as rapidly as we can. So industrial technology innovation is nowadays accepted as the last hope for bridging our prosperity gap. Remember, the word development, I'm now substituting with the word prosperity, because that's what we want to achieve, prosperity. And there's a prosperity gap. And in order to reduce that prosperity gap, we have to take advantage of industrial technology innovation. Why? It is recognized that in the fiercely competitive and globalized socioeconomic setting, industrial technology innovation management can help us achieve sustainable development. Okay, that's the objective. How do we go for winning the future from the premise? The premise I just made was technology innovation, leverage innovation for acquiring competitive advantage. That's the premise. And our goal is winning the future. And we climb this. How? Two ways. Introducing new and value-added products to the globally competitive market, or in the existing market, march for innovation, high-tech innovation for 4.0 era industrial products and services. So I summarize here. Technological innovations provide competitive edge to industrial enterprises for wealth generation by sale of new era products, Industry 4.0 type, and higher value-added existing products. That's why I get into National Industries Globalization Initiative. Globalization for what? In some areas to get into global value chain, in other areas to become a global leader in some Industry 4.0 areas. And I'll come to that, but before I get to that, this is an interesting view graph I have for us to think. We are familiar with cell phone. I'm going to use, because this is a very good instrument for us. Everybody uses this. And let's say a little bit about the cell phone. And I'm going to talk about ownership succession. Please read this statement. Evolution timeline of handheld cell phone, telephones by new companies of new countries outperforming the established. Mobile phone, cell phone, whatever you call it, how the evolution has changed from country to country, from company to company. First, Motorola in 1985, US, produced what we used to call a brick phone. It looks like a brick, so we call it a brick phone. But then Nokia came out with what we call a candy bar phone. Nokia from Finland around 2000 with candy bar phone. Then the Japanese camera people produced the camera flip phone. NTT, the Japanese company, about the same time in 2000. Suddenly, very soon after that, we saw the BlackBerry. But the BlackBerry is the first time when you could use a telephone to send emails. Until that time, none of these telephones could send emails. That's revolutionary. Who produced that BlackBerry? This is a Canadian company, Research in Motion, RIM, about 2002. Now, what I heard, that Steve Jobs called his engineers and said, I want a BlackBerry without the key, without the keyboard. Why? Because look at the keyboard, so clumsy. So I could not type using that keyboard because they're so clumsy. His request to the engineers was design a phone like the BlackBerry, but without the keyboard. And you see, this is what first touch phone, the iPhone in 2007. And since then, other people have caught up. Samsung has produced a bigger screen, much better smartphone. And now we hear that China, 5th generation cell phones are coming from China, being produced by Huawei. Now let us summarize what I'm trying to say. These are mind-boggling innovations have made the single function cell phone a wow product. I'm using this word wow to say that this is incredible, amazing, unprecedented, a wow product. It is informative. This is the most important part for us to note. It is informative and interesting for developing countries to note that the ownership, company and country, as I've shown here, of the upgraded version of the product moved. They're not at the same place. Why I say that? Because that gives me hope. That why not the next ownership be in Bangladesh? Bangladeshi company, a Bangladeshi product. That's our hope. I'll give you one more example to support what I was trying to say. We are very familiar with Apple and Microsoft. Here, let's talk about Apple. Steve Jobs has given us 5 products, incredible products. iMac, here, iPod, sorry, then iPhone, then iPad, and then iWatch. What happened? The Apple company, Steve Jobs is resting, no more new product. Let's come to Microsoft here on the side. Microsoft, Bill Gates used to be the owner and CEO. He led that company, but now no more. He has become the philanthropist. She gives money to the world for development. Who is leading Microsoft since 2014? Satya Nadella, an Indian American. He is the CEO of this company. Now let's look at the chip producing semiconductor industry. Until 2001, Intel was known as the world leader. 2011, sorry. Then Samsung between 2017 and 2020. And now a company that we had never heard of in Taiwan. And to explain the importance of this company, I hope you realize that globally after this pandemic, we have a supply chain problem. Many of the products nowadays that we use, including our automobiles, refrigerator, air conditioner, for this Internet of Things, we need microchips. Where are these microchips produced? Nowadays, the largest producer is in Taiwan, a company, TSMC. Okay, having said all of this, now let me bring to your attention the realities and opportunities. Generally speaking, no successful innovator lives forever or lasts for too long. Also, evidently, no famous innovative companies remains as world leader forever. Innovators are usually young, energetic, courageous, and open-minded people. High ambition to make a difference is a distinctive trait of successful innovators. This is the opportunity. This is the opportunity for any country to produce wow products for prosperity. And again, I would like to say that I am saying this is our hope. Since technology innovations can provide competitive edge to industrial enterprises for wealth generation in the global market, current realities and indicate opportunity. What is the reality? That nobody is going to lead forever. Things have been changing in terms of products, in terms of countries. So again, my hope, why not Bangladesh? Thank you. Next, I move to now the industrial prosperity, restructuring and industrial prosperity. Now, I would like to go through some of these a little bit quickly so that we do not go beyond my time limit. Let's look at economies, low-income economy, mid-income economy, high-income economy, and prosperous economy. Low-income economy, these are the kind of industries that we have: apparel, food sector, and light engineering industry, and middle-income material, chemical, structure, and construction industries. But most important, the lower part I have explained to you earlier already, so I'm not going to talk to this lower part, but let's focus on what I have here on top. For these two types of economies, material resource endowment-based competitive advantage. Because the products that are produced here are, remember I said products can be material intensive or products can be technology intensive. Because the products that we produce in low-income economies and mid-income economies are material intensive, so natural resource endowment-based competitive advantage is important. On the other hand, if you go to high-income economies and prosperous economies, these are the energy, utility, and machine tool control industries. Here, knowledge, creativity, and software analytic industries. And most important here is these are created technology resource-based competitive advantage. Again, tying down what I've said earlier, please. Low income and mid income countries' products are more material intensive. High income and prosperous countries' products are more technology intensive. So, in order for us to become prosperous, we have to produce products which are more technology intensive. Because I'm putting one more time this summary. New world industries have greater technology over material content. I'm giving you here a global picture of another thing, that not only we have to produce high-tech products, but we have to have in our countries some high-tech global corporation. We have to have, because if I look at other countries, we find that these are the countries I have selected and number of global companies in Fortune 500 listed against all those countries. You can see here the gross national income per capita is high for them, but what I'm referring to is Australia have got 7 global corporations, Canada 13, France 31, Germany 29, Japan 52, Korea, South Korea, a small country, which was behind Pakistan, Bangladesh, until very recently, end of 1960s and 70s, have got now 16 global corporations. UK 17, US 121, and China 119. India's got 7, Pakistan I do not know, Bangladesh I think I do not know, maybe 1 I do not know yet. But here I'm showing you again, not only they have global corporations, they've got global industry 4.0 type. And here are some examples. USA, Japan, Korea, China, Germany, Finland. I put Finland intentionally to show that even small country, Finland is a very small country, and it has got only few products. Nokia is number 1 in the world, was sometime, and is going to come back again, hopefully, because that brings in the prosperity for the whole country. So, since global high-tech corporations can help acquire wealth, industrialization plans should promote selective, high-potential local enterprises to become global high-tech corporations for national prosperity. One more reason I'm giving for becoming global corporations. This is the big data analytic plus. Nowadays, we hear a lot. Big data stored and then artificial intelligence used to analyze that data, which gives an advantage. In what way? Business intelligence is acquired from this big data analytics. What are those? To enable them to producer cost reduction, customer validation, agile decision-making, and new product launching. Enough, I have said. So now I'm going to summarize the rationale for industry's globalization. Most important one is we have to recognize the gap issue is not a money issue. Because otherwise, Brunei, a country which is our neighbor, is one of the richest countries in the world. Is Brunei developed? No. Why not? So I would like to present to you that the gap issue is quite different. Global industrialization vista shows that the real gap between developed and developing countries is in fact that industrial technology innovation capacity gap. Those countries which have got industrial technology innovation capacity, they're developed. Those countries who do not have industrial technology capacity, they may be rich, but they're not developed. Now we want to be developed. So we have to get into industrial capacity building. Thus, planners widely agree that technological innovation capacity building should be the cornerstone for achieving prosperity. Now, some of you may have some concern. I just want to point out to you here, you can read yourself, just to point out that we should not be too much worried about that we are behind, and many countries, developed countries, are already ahead of us, but because they have some sunk cost lock-in position, and we can definitely take advantage of leapfrogging. So my final remark on this page is what to do. Our enterprises, this is for our enterprises, to join global value chain. And in order to join global value chain, you have to be competitive, to become global corporations so that we produce some wow products ourselves. That the algorithm that I mentioned in the beginning, in my introductory remark, is given here in details. Sustainable development through industry-focused technology innovation building blocks. But remember, we want a rapid economic growth, not a slow growth. That's the requirement. So we have here technology innovation management. We focus on technology innovation management to acquire enterprise competitive advantage, to make national enterprises become global players, to build an innovation economy, and ultimately reach the goal of sustainable economic development. That's what I call NIGI, National Industries Globalization Initiative. Join global value chain, become global corporation. With that, I have completed part 2. Now I move to part 3. Part 3 is a little bit technical, and I will move quickly. This is talking about the technology innovation elements.
Sorry to interrupt. So is it possible, sir, to answer some questions in the chat box, or we will do so at the end, sir?
Question should not be asked now, please.
Okay, all right, okay.
I'm sorry. Was there any instruction to me?
না অনেকে কোশ্চেন করছে দুই একটা স্যার, এগুলা কি অ্যানসার এখন দিবেন না পরে দিবেন স্যার?
ব্রেকটা আমি এই পার্টটা শেষ করে দেই।
আচ্ছা ঠিক আছে স্যার,
এই পার্টটা শেষ করে উইল টেক এ ব্রেক।
ঠিক আছে,
ইজ ইট অলরাইট?
ওকে স্যার।
আচ্ছা, কারণ এটা আই ক্যান গো ভেরি কুইকলি, এটা আমাকে খুব বেশি বলতে হবে না এখানে, সেই জন্য আমি বলতে চাচ্ছি এটা করে দিই, তারপরে যাচ্ছি। কিন্তু এটা শুরু করার আগে এখানে, বিকজ we have problem with the word technology for management, for production management. And that I want to explain a little bit thoroughly. First, let's take the definition of word technology in the dictionary. You can read it yourself. I have written also how technology is defined in graduate textbooks, graduate class textbooks. আমি ইউজ করেছি নিজে for my master's and doctoral students, এই বইটা যেটা নিচে লেখা আছে। কিন্তু সেটা বাদ দিয়ে let's talk about some of the things here, what people think about technology. And that's what I call perception regarding technology. If you talk to physical scientists here, they say technologies are the laboratory equipment and apparatus used for scientific experiments. You talk to social scientists, technology is an underlying change agent for advancement of human society. Business management, information technology is the computer system, hardware, and software. And you can go all the way. Economist, technology is a capital good utilized as a production factor for economic endeavors. Media people, technologies are the things humans create to alter their everyday lifestyle. এগুলো দিয়ে আমি এই কথাটা শুধু বলতে যাচ্ছি, though all of the above definitions are correct, and some of these are from individual perspective, but they are problematic for managerial action. And managerial action কোথায়? For production enterprises and services providing enterprises. সেখানে, if we want to manage technology, these definitions are not very useful. কোনটা useful? যেটা আমার সেশন চেয়ার কিছুটা মেনশন করেছেন, যেটা আমি আগে এখানে আমি I can go very quickly, যে what we found very useful is defining technology as levers in the toolbox. এই যেখানে আমি যেটা বলতেছি, we have to define technology as main toolbox of the manager who is going to use technology for improving the products that they produce or for improving the productive enterprises they lead. For that purpose, technoware, humanware, infoware, orgaware, sysnetware, এগুলোই দেখা যাচ্ছে very critical. And you can compare these definitions with the complex definition that was given before. এই যে definition দেওয়া হয়েছিল এখানে, এটার সঙ্গে if you compare, you will find that I have covered everything in these 5 words. But most important thing is, these 3 components, technoware, humanware, infoware, sysnetware, are utilized by every system. In goods producing system, it is used as a transformation mechanism to convert procurable inputs to marketable outputs. In a services enterprise, it is used as a platform to provide customer service. এটা আমাদের মনে রাখলে the rest will be very easy. These 5 components which we have, they come under various degrees of sophistication. Degrees of sophistication, এটা সম্পূর্ণ এখন আমার সাথে এক্সপ্লেন করা একটু ডিফিকাল্ট। আমি একটা এক্সাম্পল দিয়ে বুঝতে চাচ্ছি, যেটা আমাদের জন্য বোঝা খুব সোজা হবে। If I take technoware, technoware হলো টুলস। তো টুলস কিরকম হয়? Lowest degree of sophistication, manual tools, power tools, automatic tools, programmable tools, then zero deviation, self-correcting tools. And আমি একটা এক্সাম্পল দিয়ে পরে বুঝাবো যে এটা why this information is useful and how it works. In every enterprise, we can compute, we can draw a polar chart to determine the degree of sophistication of this technology component like this. But please remember, this we have to do as a weighted score, which I will explain in a minute. This is how things change. And this is another important thing that we have to do. That technoware change. Humanware, infoware, orgaware, sysnetware, they change through continuous improvement and using the Japanese important criteria, continuous improvement. কিন্তু technoware, tech to specific, special, এখানে দেখা যায় it changes through a process of successive S curves. আপনাদের মনে থাকতে পারে আমি এখন একটু আগে বাল্ব, হ্যাঁ, electric bulb গুলোর কথা বলেছিলাম, যে আমার we have many kinds of incandescent lamps. If we measure lumens per watt, very low. Fluorescent lamps, lumens per watt, higher, but again they change the shape curve here. And then here, now LED lamps. So this is the S curve, and this is the overall S curve. Now, I will explain the dominance factor a little bit by taking computer software industry versus semiconductor industry. Computer software industry there, if you think, you realize that though we need all 5 components of technology, but humanware is the most important one, because technoware is a simple one that we use. Most of us have those technoware, but humanware is most critical. But if you go to semiconductor industry, you will find that technoware is very critical, because you need self-correcting machinery, and also you need a very controlled environment in which you can produce those nanotechnology products. Having said that, you can see that this gives us some advantage. For developing countries, if you choose those industries where humanware is very important, and we have our humanware developed, then we have the advantage. And I'm reading this for you. For developing countries, it is critical to recognize that highly trained humanware is the most dominant component of technology system utilized by an enterprise attempting catching up for global value chain and leapfrogging for becoming global corporations. So we have to pick those areas because we have advantage. What kind of advantage we have? Here. The technology system components classification and an appreciation of the condition that relative dominance of technology components utilized in any specific goods producing or services providing industry being uniquely different. Late starter developing countries with high quality and quantity of humanware can give significant advantage over developed countries where small, same quality humanware cost is very high. We have to remember this. And then I've given you many examples where where developing countries are able to catch up and where they're able to leapfrog. But one point I want to make is that though technology component sophistication is necessary condition, but it is not a sufficient condition for competition. So I'm going to go into the technology productivity gain. Productivity gain is very simple. Productivity P is value V over cost C. So delta P is delta V over delta C, but increase in delta P happens if delta V goes up, delta C goes down, or both happen together. But please remember that I can lead the cost reduction part of this equation, this one, with capability, which is achieved through enterprises that lead to higher efficiency in our operations of the firm. The value part is related to competency through elevated and often unique kind of expertise that lead to effective firms. And two more things that I want you to note, that capability is concerned with economy of scope and supply chain management, and competency is economy of scope, effectiveness, customer relationship management. Having said that, now we can move into the integration of business and technology strategy. Now here I'll take an example to make it very simple for us to understand. We all buy cars. Suppose I'm talking about buying Toyota. Now Toyota company produces cars for different value market. They produce some cheap cars, which are bought by people who do not have enough money. So they use a price leadership strategy to produce some cheap cars, which they sell in the low value market, bought by people who do not have sufficient resources. And I can put Toyota Corolla, a car which is sold in the US for $15,000. This is the cheapest you can buy now. And business people are using the price leadership strategy to sell this product, where the technologies that are used are continuing with old technologies for price sensitive, low value market. But we all know that if we want a better quality product, business people use the quality leadership strategy to go to the medium value market. And we can take the example of Camry. Camry is a better quality car than Corolla, and it sells for about $20,000. This was $15,000, this is $20,000 US dollar. But nowadays, we also find that business people use something called niche leadership because customers like some special features in the product. And SUV is a special feature which is liked by customers. And Toyota produces RAV4, which people buy, and it costs in US about $25,000 US. 15,000, 20,000, 25,000. But we also know that there are people who have got a lot of money and they go for image leadership market, top value market, and Toyota produces Lexus RX 3.5, which sells for $50,000 US. So you can buy two RAV4s for the price of one. But people buy that. Why? Because image leadership strategy. And these are the corresponding technology strategies to meet with that business strategy. So I make the final remark here. Progression from low end to the top end market value position with a family of product offerings is a proven path for sustainable prosperity of an enterprise in the fiercely competitive global marketplace. And this is my last chart combining everything together. Sophistication, productivity gained, and market progression. Technology strategies moving from here, where we have very low level of sophistication, to this strategy where we have a little bit better levels of sophistication, to this strategy where we have even higher levels of sophistication, to this leader strategy where we have top technology sophistication. But here we also should note that this is the customer value dominant strategy, and here customer cost dominant strategy. And process innovation is the major focus here, and product innovation is major focus here. So with that, I have completed my part 3. Now let's take a break. Mahmoud, we can take a break now for 5-10 minutes.
Okay, thank you, sir. Are you going to allow people to make any comment or any query?
Yes. At the end, I'm going to have half an hour for comments, questions, and answers.
So, shall they ask any question right now, or they will wait
No,
for?
please keep them in your what do you call chat box.
Okay.
Please keep them in your chat box, and ask them, because I'm going to say a few things which may give some answers to what you are asking now.
Sir, thank you.
All right. So let's take a 5 minutes break. I'll pick up a cup of coffee, and you can do whatever you wish.
Right.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. How are you doing? What about your health, sir? Shamsuddin is speaking.
I'm all right. I'm all right. Thank you. I'm all right. Thank you very much.